There is an edge of the world. On maps, it looks like a small line. But when you go there, you realize it is not a line, it is a threshold. The point where the familiar world ends and the wild begins. Patagonia. A place where ice, stone, sea, and sky come together. Lands that hide something from the ice age in every square meter. Every step can take you to places no human has set foot in. And this silence, this breathtaking primal silence preserved despite all the noise and rush, is neither a warning nor an ending. It is proof that the planet is still itself. Welcome to Planet on Edge. Perito Moreno Glacier, Argentina. The first feeling is not cold. Awe. A massive wall of blue and white ice rising like a frozen horizon. Deep cracks, sharp towers, and a surface carved with a strange light that seems to glow from within. While many glaciers in the world are retreating, Perito Moreno does the opposite. It moves forward. This is not a silent, motionless mass of ice. It is alive. It moves. Every day it cracks and reshapes itself. The sounds echoing from its surface sometimes resemble thunder trapped inside a giant ice cathedral. Then suddenly, a massive piece of ice breaks off and crashes into the water below with a roaring sound. A moment that both excites and leaves viewers speechless. But what remains in Perito Moreno is not the sound. It is the light. The color of the ice constantly changes with the air, the time of day, and the angle of view. Under heavy clouds, it appears silver-white. At other moments, turquoise, steel blue, or deep sapphire within shadowed crevices. When sunlight hits at the right angle, the entire wall of ice seems to glow from within, as if an ancient light is sealed inside the glacier. This constant transformation means Perito Moreno never looks the same at two different moments. Perito Moreno makes you feel small. But it does not threaten you. Instead, it invites you into silence. A place that makes you feel the world is still moving before your eyes, slowly, but powerfully. Tierra del Fuego, Argentina and Chile. The last gateway before the continent ends. The land of fire. Its name comes from European explorers in the early 16th century who saw fires burning along the freezing coasts. On the map, Tierra del Fuego looks like the final fragmented, isolated piece of the continent. But when you arrive, it is far from lifeless. On the contrary, a quiet, enduring, and unique vitality. Snow-covered mountain ranges descend into the sea. Low, dense, and humid southern forests resist the wind at every hour. Dark, cold, and rugged rocky shores. And silver-gray waters reflecting the constantly changing sky. Tierra del Fuego does not present a fixed face. Sometimes it arrives with cold sunlight illuminating snow-covered mountains. Sometimes the entire landscape is wrapped in gray fog and strong winds. At times the sea is so calm it almost holds its breath. Then suddenly clouds gather, the light breaks, and the entire land shifts into a different tone. This constant change turns Tierra del Fuego from a place to simply see into a place to feel, a place to exist long enough to experience the shifting mood of nature. Ushuaia, the end of the world city. What city looks like this on a map? Behind it, the Marshall Mountains. In front, the cold waters of the Beagle Channel. At the very edge of South America, a small city watching the rest of the world drift south. But Ushuaia is not just about beautiful views. It has a cold and harsh history. It was once associated with prisons and exile. Its remoteness, harsh climate, and isolated terrain turned it into a natural prison where escape was nearly impossible. This gives Ushuaia a very distinct character. A city born not from comfort, but from isolation. It grew in a place where nature is never gentle. That is why the city itself feels tough, quiet, and a little rough. But don't be mistaken. What makes Ushuaia so appealing is the mix of a sense of boundary and small-town life. The harbor, short streets, cozy cafes, museums, low buildings, and an atmosphere where everyone seems close to the air, light, and wind. The rhythm of life here is very unique. For many people, Ushuaia is not a destination. It is a starting point. Expedition ships anchored here give the city an entirely different spirit. Not just a place to stay, but a place to prepare for a longer journey into the coldest and wildest waters on the planet. That is what gives Ushuaia its unique atmosphere. Ushuaia feels distant. But at the same time, it feels like you are standing on the final threshold where the familiar world gives way to the wild south. Mount Fitzroy, Chaltén, Argentina. This mountain does not stand out because of its height or shape, but because of its presence. The most recognized and iconic peak in all of Patagonia. One look at its sharp silhouette is enough to understand why it became a symbol of South America's southern landscapes. It is not rounded. Not gentle. Fitzroy rises with steep granite walls, razor-sharp ridges, and an undeniably challenging form. It feels like the central character of the landscape, dominating the horizon and drawing every gaze toward itself. On a clear day from El Chaltén, the mountain appears strikingly close. As if a few hours of walking could take you right beneath it. But the closer you try to get, the more you realize how difficult Fitzroy is to approach. Rugged terrain, powerful winds, rapidly changing weather, and long trails turn the journey into a true test of endurance. One of the most fascinating aspects of Fitzroy is the constantly changing play of light on its peaks. At dawn, the rocky summits can glow in vivid pink and orange tones under the first light of sunrise, as if the entire massif is lit from within. By midday, the mountain transforms into something colder and sharper. The trails often begin gently, passing through low forests, melting glaciers, windswept meadows, and cool blue lakes. But toward the end, the journey becomes more exhausting, steeper, and more challenging. This gradual intensification makes the moment of fully seeing Fitzroy so rewarding. Here, beauty does not reveal itself instantly. It unfolds layer by layer, as a reward for patience. Marble Caves, General Carrera Lake, Chile. This is a different Patagonia. Softer. Quieter. Almost unreal. Located in the cool blue waters of General Carrera Lake, this marble cave system emerges as a sculpture created not by human hands, but by time, waves, and light. Here, Stone is no longer hard and rough. It becomes soft in its lines, fluid in its forms, and almost poetic as it reflects the lake below. Over thousands of years, waves continuously eroded the marble, creating arches, columns, curved corridors, and strangely shaped cavities. Nothing looks forced or artificially symmetrical. Every curve feels completely natural. The light constantly changes. Sometimes the caves appear to glow from within. At other times, the rock surfaces reveal flowing patterns like living marble. When you enter these caves by a small boat or kayak, the water calms. The space narrows. Sounds from outside fade. The wind softens. Everything slows down. In that moment, Patagonia is no longer an endless space, it becomes a calm, intimate, almost meditative world. Hanging Glacier, Chaltén National Park, Chile. The glacier hangs in the air. Time seems to have stopped as it slides down from the top of the mountain. Unlike many glaciers, this mass of ice does not flow into a valley, it rests on a high cliff, giving the impression that it is suspended in the air. From a distance, the entire mass of white and blue ice looks like a giant cold blanket covering the mountainside. But as you get closer, you realize it is not still. Incredibly, the ice is still slowly melting. Thin streams of water leak from within, gather, and fall into the lush green forest below as delicate waterfalls. From the valley floor, the ice mass looks too heavy to exist in that position. You find yourself wondering what holds it there at the edge of the cliff. The result of thousands of years of ice accumulation and the delicate balance between temperature, gravity, and topography. But to the observer, this scene feels like a miracle of nature. Small pieces of ice occasionally break off, slide down the rocky surface, and merge into the forest, creating a living system where ice, water, and forest interact every day. The ice does not dominate the landscape. The forest does not take over entirely. These two elements coexist, creating a scene that is both powerful and peaceful. Los Caracoles Pass, Andes, Chile, Argentina. This is not just a pass. It is one of the most impressive mountain roads in South America. From above, you immediately understand why it is called caracoles, snails. The turns follow one another, winding into giant spirals along the mountainside. From a distance, the entire pass looks like a thin thread drawn across the bare rocky surface of the Andes. What makes Los Caracoles special is the sense of height and openness. Unlike many passes wrapped in forests or thick rock formations, this one opens into a vast space where sky, rock, and wind dominate the landscape. As vehicles pass each turn, a new perspective unfolds, revealing mountain slopes, valleys, and winding roads below. To build this pass, engineers had to design dozens of turns to reduce the slope and allow safe climbing at high altitude. That is why Los Caracoles is not just a route, it is also proof of the effort to connect the two sides of this massive mountain range. Watching small vehicles slowly navigate each turn, you can easily understand the true scale of the surrounding nature. Outro. Now stop. Wait. Perito Moreno is advancing. Tierra del Fuego is changing. Fitzroy burns pink in the mornings. Waves are still carving the marble caves. The hanging glacier is still melting, slowly, silently, and patiently. Patagonia has never stopped. And you have never truly left Patagonia. Those who know these lands understand one thing: Patagonia is not a place. It is a feeling. And once it enters you, it never fully leaves. Which place surprised you the most? The roaring ice of Perito Moreno, the pink dawn of Fitzroy, or the mesmerizing silence of the marble caves? Write in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. Planet on Edge. We tell you what the world forgot to tell you.